Welcome again to yet another episode with TakeMe-OutAdventures. I'm Peris on Life Notes with Peris. And we say last time we're going to look at what really kills marriage. Most of the time we think that what kills marriage is because I chose the wrong person. The truth is, you didn't get the time to know this person you took as a husband or a wife. And we're going to delve deep to the main things that actually kill marriage. And one of them is actually because we miss our value system. What is your value system? And our values are built depending on how we were brought up. They're built depending on our belief system. They're also built depending on what is surrounding us. What is our level of exposure? That will build our values. And our values build our habits. And eventually, they build our character. And so most of the time, we ignore all that process. We end up getting into a relationship with someone whose values are not our values. We either sweep them under the carpet because we think we love them too much, or we actually ignore. And that is what we call ignoring the red flags. What is our value system? Like when we talk of culture, sometimes you just get into a relationship and you're not looking at the culture of the person. You just tell yourself, this guy we met in campus, he's educated like I am. Yeah, because we have been educated together. We are the same in terms of thinking, in terms of doing our things. But reality hits. And I can tell you for free that it is possible to go to Australia and come back to Kenya and your belief system remains the same. It is also possible to study in Europe for 10 years and the way you were brought up never gets out of your head. That's the reality that you need to dig deep. When I talk of culture, I've seen people who are in masters and they tell you, what? From where I come from, I believe a woman needs to be beaten at least once in a while to straighten her up. That's somebody who is doing his master's degree, and he's okay with that. And some of our cultures also believe, for a woman to actually be a real woman, they should not speak, they should not talk. Regardless of our education system, today, we still have stereotypes on the same. We have cultures whereby a woman does not speak. A woman is not involved in important matters of the family. They don't make decisions. And you are there thinking that when you get married, your husband will bring you to the table and discuss decisions for your marriage? Never. He's not going to do that. He'll do his thing and you do your thing. And you're not in oneness. And those are some of the things that actually kill marriage. I was in a marriage whereby after getting married in a real wedding, the belief system was so weak that I realized later, they felt, if your husband has got a lot of money, he's free to marry as many women as he wishes. And those are the cultural values that we ignore, the family values. What are the family values of whoever you're marrying? Where are they coming from? Who is their father? Who is their mother? How are they brought up? What is the value system in their life? What do they really value? Do they treasure family? And in relationships, sometimes you may say, oh, this is for marriage. Excuse you, it's not just for marriage. I remember I ignored most of the red flags because, like I said in my last video, because of fornication, I was afraid. I was so naive to get out of the relationship. I thought, I need to just stay here. Where do I go? If I get out, I'm sinning more. You know what? I ignored those red flags, which was so glaring in my eyes. And I remember there's a day I said to him, we're going to go and we'll have a crossover night with him for the new year. I can't remember the very year. And I told my parents, this year I'm crossing over in Eldoret. I'm not going to be home in Nanyuki. And they were like, oh, they were really hesitant, but they were like, okay, that's fine. You're going to be crossing over. I know you're going to go to church and all that. And guess what? I waited for him 9 in the night, 10 in the night, 11 in the night, 12 in the night. He never turned up. And in the morning, I don't know, I can't remember whether he turned up or he didn't. But believe you me, I continued with that relationship. But those are the things, the small things we ignore in our values. You get into marriage and the person is still not available. The same way you were in a relationship, they weren't available. You tell each other you want to meet at this time, they were not available. And you're expecting them to get available in marriage. They are not. Their value system does not allow them to honor their promises. They don't honor their promises. They don't honor their word. And that's values. Values is all about our honesty, our character, who we are. What are our habits? What are we built in? That is our value system. And religion also is a factor that can cause you to break up. Today I see people say, I can marry from any religion as long as we love each other. Whoa. The truth is, once you're in there, you will discover that religions can really be divergent. I can tell you that I'm coming from a Pentecostal background, and just getting into, AIC was not easy. AIC is a good church. It's not like I don't like the preaching, I don't like the music. But you know what? I just miss the raising of hands, the shouting, the singing aloud. I missed it. And I didn't stay long in that church. So immediately after marriage, I actually veered away to a Pentecostal church. And those are some of the things that someone would feel, you're not respecting me. You're not respecting my church. You're not respecting where I told you we should go. But here you are. Even saying, I can't get married to a Muslim. You don't even know anything about them. But you're ready to go. What are the various things that you actually need to discuss when you're in a relationship? Number one, I must warn you. Avoid intimacy. If you avoid intimacy, you will be able to act sober. You will ask the real questions. And what are the real questions? What is your vision? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you see us? He's the man. Or where do you see us in the next 5 years? Where do you want us to stay? What is your preferred place for us to settle? Most of the times, like I said in my earlier video, I was with a vision. I knew what I wanted. I knew I was going to become a lecturer. I knew I would work towards being a lecturer. I would build my home. I would buy a car. So it was more of me having the vision. And unfortunately, I therefore did not look at the vision of the man. And so for me, it was undercover. I never bothered about what is the vision of the person. And the truth is, if the person you're working with has a smaller vision than you do as a lady, you're going nowhere. Because the man has to be the driver. He's got to be beyond you. He's got to be ahead of you for you to follow. You see, the Bible says that he's the head and you're the one to submit. But you cannot submit to someone without a direction. You cannot submit to someone who already does not know their destination. So these are some of the things that I really ignored. And that is what I would ask you. Are you asking the main questions? What is the vision that you want us to have? What is the direction that you think that we're going to get to? Some of the mistakes when you ignore vision is that for me, I was ready. I was ready to build a home. I was ready to have a car. I knew I was going to have my children and everything. And there's a time I wanted to build a home when my children were young. And I was like, where do you want us to settle? They tell you, I'm not yet ready. And I'm like, excuse me, you're not ready. And you have 2 children that are young and you're not ready. And they would take an excuse of, even my relatives, they don't have a home. So where are we in a hurry? It's like, it irritates you because you're the one who has a vision to hurry up. And they have a vision to slow down. So ask yourself, are you asking the real questions? When you ask the real questions, you'll discover, this is not my destination. This is not where I belong. The other thing you need to find out is, what is their passion? Let me tell you for free that you need to have a man or a woman that has 80% of what you love. If they don't have 80% of what you love, you're in the wrong place. Imagine lockdown during Corona period. And there we were. And you had every day in the news how many families were having conflict. They were having conflict because the 2 people have no passion that they share. In fact, each of them going to work is the best thing happening to them. And now, lockdown has forced them to stay in the house together. And here they are, wondering, what are we discussing? What are we doing together? So you wake up in a mood like, excuse, this is not the ideal condition that I wanted. And I did that. And sometimes, let me say, even our parents let us down. Because our parents' character or behavior can actually affect their children. For me, I had a father who was a silent father. So for me, I thought having a silent man is okay. And I had a father who could easily not go with the wife, my mom, to anywhere. And so when I was in campus, I used to go hiking. I would hike Sosiani Falls with other groups. I would go to Kerio Valley on Presidential Award. And I would do it alone. And I was in a relationship. It never hit me that one day this was going to be a red flag in my marriage. So when I get into marriage, I want us to go for hiking. And he's like, I don't like hiking. I want us to go for traveling. And I don't like that. I want us to go to Zanzibar. And I don't want to go. I'm like, what? Is this the life I asked for? Is this how I'm going to live for the next 100 or so years? So ask yourself, what are the passions? Are you sharing your passions? When you say you want to hike, are you both excited? When you say you want to cook, are you both excited? Those are the real questions. Those are the things that mess marriage. Because you're supposed to live with this person for more years than you actually lived alone. And that's what people don't take seriously. And I'm sorry that most of the time in our days, our parents would ululate when it comes to marriage. Because, it was also a myth that if your daughter is too educated, she'll not get a husband. And so it was a hurry. It's like, hurry up. You need to get married. Hurry up. You need to get married. But they're not telling you that inside marriage, there's so much. And in their days, they were able to handle it. Do you know why? Because in their days, women were not empowered. In their days, women had no property. But today, women are empowered. So what would make you sit on a table of disrespect? Nothing. You definitely walk away. So I will tell you for free, make the right choices. Ask the right questions. And then ask yourself, what are your boundaries? What are your boundaries in this marriage or in this relationship? What can't you take? And for me, I can't take infidelity. I still can't. Yeah. Why should I? When I read my Bible, God created Adam and Eve. He never created two Eves. You see, if it was like the Muslim culture, they already know that their men are allowed to marry at least 4 wives. That's a different thing. In my Christian Bible, it tells me I'm only allowed to get married to a man and I'm the only wife. And so for me, those are my boundaries. I can't take infidelity. And you see, I know there are so many ladies today that are ready for marriages, maybe as second wives and all that. And most of them, maybe it's because they're struggling financially and they're wondering, how do I get up? And I need a man to assist me. And I'm sure that in some few years, once their financial status gets to a level, they'll be like, oops, I'm just sick and tired of this. Because they get to remember, no, this is not me. This is not what I deserve. And so you need to ask, what are your boundaries? What can you take and what can't you take? Most of the time we ignore the real questions. Another thing, the next thing that you need to also look at when you're looking at a relationship. In relationship, we have what we call reciprocity. You know, it's your birthday and I make a very nice Black Forest cake for you. And on my birthday, it's like slips over. You know, I'm not saying that I need to have somebody I celebrate you and you celebrate me back. We're not giving it back all the time. But then again, you need to ask yourself, does it really come back? You know, I usually say in a relationship, get to a point whereby you stop and then meditate. Make a rewind of all the going out you've been doing. Make a rewind of it. You know, make a rewind of all the talks you have been talking and ask yourself, is this the direction I want to go? Is this what I want for my life? I just want to bring to your attention that marriage is the biggest decision that you'll ever make in your life. And guess what? Marriage can ruin all the empires you have built, and they will be ruined in one day. You took 10 years to build the empire, and it can go in one day. And that's what happened to me. Because in one day, I lost a home. In one day, I lost 7 years of hard work. And today, yes, I regret. And do you know what I regret? I regret the time spent with the wrong person. I regret the vision I shared with the wrong person. I regret the energy I spent in the wrong place. I regret the time I spent in the wrong place. And now it's your time to make a choice. Do you want to be that person that regrets the time, the money, the energy, the emotions that you spent in the wrong place simply because you're in a hurry? All my age mates are getting married. Hey, I need to get married. All my classmates have children right now. I need to have one. All my friends are driving a car. And you know what? Right now, I need to get married to someone who is driving a car. Yes, you may get married to someone who is driving a car and you may never drive it. I usually say it's easy to take a cow to the river, but it can decide to take water or not. And that works very well also in marriage. It is possible to be married by a very rich man and you never get to enjoy their riches because they choose what to do. And so you better focus on getting the right characters that you want in a person. Even in a lady, you know, don't just go for physical beauty. You need to ask yourself deeper questions. Am I ready for this woman? Is this the kind of woman I would want for my life? Is she respectful? If she becomes bigger than I, am I ready to support her? Or am I the kind of person that will sabotage her dream simply because I feel she's a competition? Those are the many questions we need to ask ourselves. The next thing you need to discuss about is finances. I mean, what drives you? Finances also boils down to character. And there's so many people, once they are in a relationship and, they get money, they are more wealthy, that's when they discover, oh, I can add another woman into this relationship. Or I have all the money in my pocket, so I can now move around. Or somebody was a very good Christian, born again, spirit-filled, and all of a sudden they start drinking because now they got the money. The question is, what if this person gets a lot of property? Does it mean because he has a lot of property, he's now going to get married to another wife? There are people who look at life as having many wives is a form of wealth. Yeah. And so those are some of the nitty-gritties you need to ask yourself when it comes to character. What is their character when it comes to money? And then look at influence. Who is influencing their life? Because sometimes culture, as much as culture can be a roadblock to our relationships, sometimes there are people who are brought up in cultures, yes, they have those bad things, but they have gone beyond that. They have grown beyond that. But remember, if the influence they are listening to, the person who is influencing them is too strong, then you may not be able to escape this. So you end up having somebody who is telling them all the bad things about the relationship. Or if you marry this, they will do this. And of course, it's mythical all the time. If you marry a Kikuyu woman, you will get rich. And then when you get rich, she will kill you and go with the property. I mean, who lied to you that? Who said that? Where do people get this myth? It doesn't happen to all of us. Some of us are willing to work hard and become exactly what we want to become. And we don't have to steal your property. So those are some of the myths that come with it. But the moment you allow somebody to keep habitually talking to you and telling you the wrong things about your wife or the wrong things about your husband, eventually you actually get to see it and you actually believe it. And that messes up marriage. The same to myths which are toxic from friends. There are friends, of course. It's good to listen to friends, but there are also friends who are just toxic. They'll give you all the damn stories that you actually don't need. And you get there and you get out there and you come home so exhausted, so bored, and you're not talking and you're like, this is messed up. And it was just a story coming from nowhere. They just cooked it just to mess up your relationship. They cooked it just to see how things will work out. There are people who they like to see movies. They like drama all the time. They want to see drama coming out of your relationship. They want to see drama happening in your marriage. And so they will give you all the toxic stories about your husband, about your wife, about your friend. And it's until you make a decision to investigate it by yourself so that you make a concrete decision from your own evidence. That's all. That's what I did most in my marriage. I didn't just quit. I had all the evidence, not from friends, but from my own evidence. I saw it with my own eyes. I didn't have to wait for somebody to listen, to hear, to tell me, to know, to change what I'm thinking. And lastly, of course, it's also good, especially, don't wait until you're married. That is when you're trying to look for evidence. Before you're married, get the evidence. Get the reasons whether you need to get in or not to get in. Today, I usually say, even if it's at the altar, and you realize in the morning, there's a mess. Tell them, no, I don't. You don't have to say, yes, I do. Say, no, I don't, and go. Because the life ahead is bigger than the life behind. So always value the life that you're getting into. And lastly, I talk of competition. Competition is a factor that can ruin marriage. And you know, it starts in relationship. When I talk of campus relationships, and maybe you're in a different course, I'm in agriculture, and you are in science, and I'm telling you today, actually my transcript, I got a second upper, or I actually almost hit first class. And when you look at this person, they don't celebrate you. They're not excited about the fact that you are almost hitting first class. They're like, it's just like, they didn't even say congratulations, or well done, or hey, you worked hard this time round. I love the way you did it. I'm happy for you. They don't celebrate you. They just like keep quiet. And you know, sometimes you just sweep it under. It was just a talk. Yeah, maybe he wasn't in the good mood. Yeah, it's fine. But you know what? That's an insecurity. And when you get into that marriage, what happens? This person never wants to see you up. And you know, I call it like being in a bucket. A bucket with a cover. And every time you want to come up, they make sure they close it. You want to raise your head, they make sure they close it. You want to come out, they close it. And you're always wondering why. Because they're insecure. They don't want to see you up. They feel you're a competition. They're not ready to raise you. They want to make sure they're covering you up. And so those are some of the challenges that come into marriage. And I can tell you that being a lecturer, I was asked to quit my job. Yes, I was supposed to quit my job and take care of my mother-in-law. And I was looking at myself and asking myself, my parents paid the school fees. I worked hard. I worked at night, writing my thesis, only to go and become a housewife. Excuse me. But you know, those are the insecurities that you ignore. And when you ignore those insecurities, they will catch up with you in marriage. And then when you get into marriage, you either have a choice to quit or to stay. And most of the time, most women will choose to stay. Yes, they choose to stay. Because I also chose to stay. 7 years into the marriage, I stayed through. 7 years, not easy. But I woke up one day and decided, this is not going to be my story. So if you like this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up, like and share, and let's meet in our next episode. Our next episode, we will be looking at, you have been abused, but you don't know how. See you. This is TakeMe-OutAdventures, your trusted travel partner, and leaving you with life notes with Paris. Keep believing in yourself.